Welcome to a new episode of the Straight Wrestling Voices of the Indies podcast. I'm your host Morbo, and with me, as always, everyone's favorite US independent wrestling fan, Sebastian.
Thank you as always for the introduction, Morbo, and welcome everyone to this week's episode of Straight Wrestling Voices of the Indies. And our guest today is a real voice of the Indies in the truest sense of the word, especially in the southeast of the United States. Whether it is Scenic City Invitational, TWE, Action Wrestling, New South, Next Generation Wrestling, he has worked for all of these promotions and more. And we are really happy to have him as our guest today. And with that, welcome, John Mosley.
Hey, thank you guys for having me so much, for real.
So for the people who don't know who you are, who is John Mosley?
So I am a commentator, broadcaster, manager, promoter myself, kind of everything in wrestling. I mean, other than having a match, I've been around and done and learned from. I've been inside the wrestling business since 2017, which is wild to say. Yeah, I love being a part of the show. I love putting on a show. I love the storytelling. So I was lucky enough to graduate from ETSU in Tennessee, and basically as soon as I graduated, I linked up with a buddy that runs a small wrestling promotion in small town Tennessee, and just kind of never looked back. I met Brett Ison there, one of my best friends in the world. We ended up making KOBK years later. But yeah, I just like to think, I'm a storyteller, and someone I think if you listen to my commentary, you can tell I love what's happening, and it's all about the wrestlers and just having a good time and putting on the best show we can.
Since most people know you from your work as a commentator, are there any people that gave you advice on how to do commentary?
Oh, without a doubt, Dylan Hells. Dylan Hells. I mean, my mentor. Everything I've learned for sure from Dylan. When I got into wrestling, I had no idea what it actually meant to be a commentator. I was kind of playing commentator. Grew up. I was born in 1990, so listened to a lot of Jim Ross, and then I got into Excalibur at PGW, or Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, PWG. So I just had really no idea what I was doing, just kind of talking. And Dylan took me under his wing. I showed up and I was just anything to do. Let me help out. I'll sweep the ring. Just let me help out. And Dylan, yeah, he taught me. I mean, just so much. He was really hard on me early. I mean, after so many shows, he just really let me know what I didn't do well on. But I'm someone, I appreciate that. I like to, what am I doing wrong so I can get better? So Dylan has really shaped my voice. And I think if you listen to us together, we're a great team together. But if you listen to me without Dylan now, I think you do hear kind of the pacing and the timing. Dylan kind of taught me again, just getting through the show, the down moments. So yeah, without a doubt, Dylan Hells, and then here lately, the Reverend Dan Wilson has gave me a lot of pointers. So learning from those two especially, and then Dave Prazak when I the few times I've worked for GCW. Dave gave me a lot of great insight and gave me a lot of confidence, honestly. For sure, Dylan Hells, the Rev, and Dave Prazak really have helped me a lot.
What makes commentary special, and what are the most important things you have to keep in mind while doing commentary?
So, commentary, like wrestling, like any other art form, is very up to the listeners, kind of their scope, or kind of how they listen to their through their lens, if you will. So it's kind of hard to say because everyone does it different. For me, I think it's important to always remember that the talent, the matches we're calling. I think we always got to have some kind of story to be talking about for the crowd at home, whether they're very familiar with whoever's wrestling or they have no idea. I feel it's important that we as commentators are able to fill those holes in for anyone listening. And I just think it's always important. The main thing is it's always important to remember, that everything matters out there. It's like I have a degree in film studies. I wanted to be a film director, years ago. So one of the lessons I learned doing that was everything on screen for a shot needs to make sense. It needs to be tied into whatever the scope is. So I try to bring that with wrestling. Like everything on your screen at home, we need to be able, it needs to make sense. We need to be able to tell you. You need to be able to sit in there watching, going, okay, I know why all this is happening. And I think that's the most important kind of flip side or with that as well is that we're just a tool. No one's tuning into a show to listen to me talk. They're tuning in to see all these talents that are risking their lives. So it's a very important to remember as commentators, we're a tool for everyone out there just putting on a show. We're just here for them and to get everything they need in. And I think a lot of commentators nowadays forget that. But as mentioned, I think fans, they like who they like. So everyone does it different. And it's pretty cool that we do have kind of a different kind of commentary setup for whoever is listening.
You are not only a commentator, but you're also part of KOBK alongside Big Dave, Brett Eisen, Hardware Heater, Lufa X, and Sean Campbell. How would you describe Kill or Be Killed or KOBK to the people who don't know what it is?
We're really a family. I know, it's not a faction. It's not a wrestling team per se. I talk to those guys every day. We started it. Brett wanted to Brett's always been known as the pit bull. That's kind of been his moniker. So he was trying to evolve, be a bigger idea than himself. So uh, man, just kind of came together on a car ride. We were driving up to New Jersey, and Brett was like, I want to kind of evolve and do something different. And we had been texting for a long time. We'd say KOBK, but kind of as a joke, a little bit of like, oh man, work today has just been awful. I had this terrible customer, and then make a joke and say KOBK. But Kill or Be Killed, it's not really about wins or losses. It's about just leaving it all out there. We've all been kind of overlooked. We've all been workhorses at times and not really appreciated here and there. So we just kind of come together and obviously have a great time, but we really help each other. And in this business and sport as a whole, it's so tough at times and really kind of wears on you. So we're there for each other, but the bigger scheme, the bigger idea for sure is just whether you win, lose, whatever with us, you're going to remember that fight. It's to the last, the last drop, the take everything out of me kind of thing. Like I'm going to leave it all out there in every way, and I think everybody involved, really really lives up to that. Dave, as you mentioned, is having a fantastic 25. Just won the Haas tournament for New South, and you seeing Sean and Heater pop up more and more. I know they've got a couple of shows in Las Vegas during Mania Week we're going out for. So it's just a group of dudes that like we like violence a little bit. We don't mind getting hit in the face, and we're gonna be there until the last bell.
Yeah, I wanna I wanna give a shout out to the whole KOBK crew. I'm a huge fan of KOBK and especially Sean Campbell. I think he's one of the most talented guys in the Southeast at this point, and he's the future, in my opinion.
I totally agree. I mean, when we put Sean in, he had no idea he wrestled Masha Slamovich on our first show, our first KOBK show, and that's kind of exactly what we all he fit in well with us. We've hung out before in the locker rooms and whatnot, but he's the future. He's so talented. He's got this amazing wrestling brain that just you put him in a match with the same person 100 times and you're going to get something different out of Sean, and it's something that I know he's proud of, and we're so proud of him. And I really appreciate you saying that, because he's just so just the sky, sky's the limit, but somehow it feels like he could do more.
KOBK is also the name of the promotion you founded in 2021. What can you tell us about the promotion?
Again, Dylan Hells in a way. I was badgering Dylan to kind of help, Action or TW, just kind of promotions that I work with Dylan at, and let me do more, let me do it. And Dylan, one day, I'll never forget it. He just said, you know what? Why don't you run your own show? And I think it was kind of more of a little bit of a test from Dylan of, you got these ideas, you talk, like, let's see what you got. And I needed that push. I'll never forget being like, okay, like, oh, I will. So we, with no sponsors or anything, we just kind of got together and we're going to run this one show. And at that time, Brett Eisen was looking to step away, maybe, from wrestling, maybe forever, maybe not. Thankfully, it wasn't forever. So that show, in a way, too, was our very first show was kind of put together to, give Brett maybe a victory lap. That was the first show he ever got streamers at. We had a streamers ready to go. He wrestled in the main event, and the show went really well, even though we had some things not go our way. The ring was broken, an hour or 2 hours before the show, and we couldn't get an extra ring, and everyone's freaking out. And we had that moment of, what do we do? And everyone's looking at me, and I just said, we're going to change this match to this, and we're just going to do a no ring show, I guess. And it turned out really well. That's the show. We've ran 7 or 8 shows now, and still I hear so much about that first one because, like Jamesen Shook's show that I was on commentary for a couple nights ago, when you have a locker room come together and just completely no ego, we're gonna put the best show we can, and we're, everything's gonna hit. We're gonna pay attention and not do the same moves every match. Like, everything just came together in such a way for that first show, and we made a little money, and we just kept going. And now we're running a lot in Indianapolis, Indiana. We've got 3 shows there this summer at a bar called Duke's Indy that has been so cool to us, and very welcoming. We've had 2 or 3 shows there now. I think 3 maybe now, and everyone, just more and more people are coming out. Afternoon. We're doing our first night shows this summer, but they've been afternoon shows, and it's just a different kind of vibe. So we kind of just did it to. I mean, I'll be honest with y'all. I did it. I wanted to name my shows after, like, rap songs, and I wanted to put on good matches with my friends. And that's really all the goals were. Put on a good show, have some fun. And we've had some really cool talent. Again, like, we've had Masha on there. We've had I know Nick Iggy's a name down here in the South. We've had him on some surprise shows before pop up, and just people have lost their minds because they hate Nick Iggy in every possible way. It's Adam Priest. Just so many great talents have been happy to come, wrestle on our shows, and that's a pretty cool feeling for me.
What are the differences and maybe also the similarities between being a commentator and a promoter?
Oh man, great question. Promoting, well, man, they're both stressful in their own ways. So commentary is stressful for me because I just don't want to take away from the talent. I don't want to mess up, obviously. I want everyone at home to ride this roller coaster with us. As a promoter, it's just so, I've never heard so many things go wrong until I put that promoter hat on. It was, people can't be here, rings broke, this, that, and the other. But both have taught me great patience. I've always been one that, if you know me, I could handle patience. Younger me to now, I've learned so much because of wrestling, and a lot of that is commentary, is things not going the right way. You're throwing curveballs, and having to face that in the booth is honestly way less stressful because of the promoter hat. I'm like, well, not only, if I'm in the booth, I'm really worried about the viewers at home more. When you're promoting, I'm worried about everybody there, everybody at home, the video. I mean, everything's a little bit of a worry, but it's all about your team. And you've been blessed to put together a really good team. The Prophet of Ash video team takes care of us in the Midwest. And Sean, as we talked about, a great talent, also a great editor. So all these shows really in-house. I know the person that films them. I know the person that edits them. I do commentary a little bit. I have other, kind of guests do commentary. I'll edit the commentary out and get the file to Sean myself. So it's still that control there. So it helps that everything, is in my hands. If it screws up, I'd rather it be my fault. but definitely a different stress level, but stress, no doubt, from both sides.
You already mentioned that you started in like 2017, but the first time I heard you as a commentator was at Action Shock on October 2nd, 2020. Was this your first show for Action Wrestling, or did you already appear for Action earlier?
Action earlier. It wasn't too like maybe one other time, I was a guest, I think, on commentary before that, not too long before that, but yeah, I'd hopped on, I believe, with Dylan and maybe McCash, but definitely Dylan just once. So that, I mean, 2020 is really, I mean, that's when I really started, putting in reps from 2017 to 2020. It was a lot of smaller shows. It was a lot of again, I'm doing commentary. I'm filming hard cam. I've got someone running roam cam. I'm editing the shows and I'm putting them all on hotspot or high spots. Excuse me, on high spots for the promoter I was working for then. So for 3 years, I'm really just doing smaller shows and driving Brett to bookings and just hanging out and just trying to get my face out there. So Action Wrestling and New South were the two that, other than TWE had used me as a ring announcer, but I always knew and still know that I'm a commentator. I can do ring announcing. I've got more confident in it, but I'm a commentator. So Matt Griffin reached out, and I was so nervous because coming back from COVID, we weren't sure when, if, what was going on with wrestling, and then to have Matt, say we're gonna put you in there with Dylan and let you kind of go. And I know that's something that I needed and very thankful for because as anyone that knows Dylan Hell's commentary, I mean, I'm not going to say universally, but a big chunk of the independent audience believes that Dylan, if not the best, one of the best. So they could have put a lot of people in there. Thankfully, it was me, and I've soaked up everything I can. And yeah, like that feels so long ago too, man. 2020. I know that it's. I guess it is long ago now, but it still feels 5 years, 10 years. That's a whole life ago. But I know I wouldn't be here without Matt Griffin as well. I keep thinking Dylan, but really Matt trusting me because the Action brand, as you got, that's a worldwide brand at this point, and to trust me with that when they were really on the rise, then they were putting together a lot of good shows they'd already had, but really that upswing with like A Scott and Brett and Mac and everything was kind of meeting. So it was a really cool time for me just to really sink my teeth in. And I know I was not great at commentary at all yet, but for sure Action Wrestling. I just wouldn't be here without Action Wrestling. There's no way.
And for the show for Action Shock, on cagematch.net, you're listed on commentary as So Bros Mose. Can you explain where this name comes from? And one remark for me, what was a bit, I don't want to say difficult, but sometimes irritating while doing like the research is that on some shows you are called this, on other shows you are just Mose. And then sometimes you are John Mosley, written Mosley, and sometimes Mosley. This was a bit confusing at times.
It is confusing, and this is the truth. This is a true story. Until I was like, I don't know, second or third grade, I wasn't sure how to spell my last name because the teachers in my school, everyone spelled it different, like you're saying. So I remember going to my mom and being like, is this how I spell my last name? And she thought I was kind of crazy, but I explained that the teachers and every teacher spelled it different. So I hate it. I hate it because, like you're saying, it's frustrating when you're trying to look up this or that. But it is. It's hard to, I guess, Mosley. It's pronounced Mosley, but everyone, I've been called Mose so much of my life. They just assume it's Mosley, or I'll get Mosley. I've gotten that before. I've gotten it with no e's before, like Mosley, Mosley. That was kind of wild. So yeah, I agree. It's just Mose is fine. John Mosley. I try to say John Mosley now on commentary more to kind of sound more official. But the Sobros thing. So back when I was first getting into wrestling at all, I'm talking, 2017, I linked up with, they are, it's kind of like a comedy website, a sports website, a little bit of everything, kind of putting, articles out and funny content in Nashville and south of Broadway. Sobro is south of Broadway in Nashville, and the Sobros. So I got a foot in through there. I applied. They liked, thought I was funny. They liked my writing. So I got to write about wrestling a lot. I got to get some really cool interviews because of that. And yeah, for a long time it was Sobro Mose. And then when KOBK became a thing, literally that weekend, we just had a talk, and I told it wasn't a personal thing. It was just, I'm changing my brand as well. And I just didn't feel like I could put everything into Sobro Mose or the Sobros if I'm putting my heart and soul into getting KOBK off the ground. So, uh, they're still up. The site still goes in Nashville. Those guys are still putting out content after all these years, which I'm super proud of them for, because there's so much content everywhere. It's easy to kind of like, oh, well, what are we doing? But they still churn out stuff. They're very good Titans, for NFL football, American football, if you will. They put a lot of content out on the Titans. So it was a really important experience for me as well, because I mean, for Southern Underground Pro, which is my favorite promotion probably ever, Tennessee promotion that is not dead, but dead with a question mark. I'm trying so hard to get one more sup show out before they're gone. But I got some really cool interviews from Southern Underground Pro, and that's how I actually met, and really talked to the Carnies for the first time because of that. Got a great interview with Brett Eisen, Righteous Jesse, shout out Righteous Jesse, and then Danger Zone Video. So yeah, Sobro Mose was the very early stages of Mose, the commentator I am now.
1 week after Action Shock on October 9th in 2020, you did commentary as a part of Southern Underground Pro Swing of the X, which was one of the collective shows in Indianapolis in this year. What can you tell us about this experience?
Man, that was terrifying. That was, for me, I don't really get scared. Definitely not too much anymore when it comes to wrestling, but that was Dylan was not there. So we traveled from Nashville to Indianapolis for this show, and I'm told, I don't know, maybe 2 days before. I mean, not very long before, a day or two before, that Dylan can't be there, that I will be anchoring. I will be the voice, if you will, of the show. So that was, I still, in this, it's funny you asked that. To this day, I have a document on my laptop, and it's all the notes Dylan gave me for that show. And I'm talking, it's just pages of, do this, don't do this, keep this in mind. And I still look at that from time to time to make sure I'm still kind of, okay, have I forgotten these rules? So that was absolutely, I mean, the whole drive up there, it was Brett's in the back seat. Like, he is excited. We're both excited. It's a sup show on the road. That doesn't happen. We're usually in East Nashville. And we got there, and I was very nervous, and I'm sure I haven't listened back in a long time. I know I tried to have that energy of like, yeah, this is, normal, and it just wasn't. A great show, so much good stuff on there, and in a moment again that really taught me to sink or swim. I got to keep swimming, just keep going, and it's a show that I'll always look back on and know that's not my best work, but it's a show that at that time, to be given that opportunity, like, you're gonna have special guests you have to kind of lead with and work with. So it was a great learning experience. It made me better. And again, just that they trusted me, again, they could have got a special commentator up there. There were people coming in for the collective, but they let me, Dylan and the Sup Brain Trust let me go. And it's still one of those, like, I remember sitting, we did commentary up in, they were in the stands. Like, I'm basically just up there kind of right by the fans in the stands, which is a great energy. And that helped me, I think, kind of get in the flow of things that day.
If we go on to the next year, to 2021, I also heard you as a commentator on the news house shows, including the Hoss tournament in 2021. What are your memories of the Hoss weekends in that year?
Oh my gosh, that Haas weekend was awesome. Great, just loaded down competitors. I met, funny enough, I believe I had already met Big Dave, but that weekend for sure we had hung out, and this is before he was in the business really at all. He was really just kind of getting his feet wet of being around and all that. He was just it's something about Dave too that New South will always mean something to him is that part of his journey of from a fan to where he is now. But New South, much like Action in 2020, they brought me in and they were going to let me, we're going to have you be the guy. And I had a lot of, I had so many different commentary partners from when I first started to that weekend at Haas. I believe that's when me and Carmen really were kind of getting going. We had a good like a back and forth at times. It was just Carmen was still learning. Like we both were learning still, but Carmen was just really learning himself about commentary and this and that because Carmen's just like he's really great as a ring announcer and he always had that, but commentary you could tell like it's just a different brain, mindset. So he came in and really started kind of those Tuesdays, the action class shows we would film. We both were really kind of getting a flow. So by the time we hit that Haas weekend, man, we had just everyone was again great locker room. Everybody was fired up. We had a couple of surprise matches that weekend, and again, just a loaded down crew of anybody kind of could have won that Haas. And I think that's what makes, Haas the same way with the SCI two tournaments that when the field is complete and you're looking around, there's a couple of people usually that you could see win it. And that was much like that sub show we just talked about. That weekend for Haas was a big deal for me of, you know, the biggest weekend for New South, the biggest weekend for the brand, and we're here and we're going to be the soundtrack to it. And that's again, I look back on my New South time very proud. There's some really good matches in there that I was able to call, and of course made some really good friends, especially that weekend because it's so often you get to a show, you hang up for a couple hours, we got to be somewhere else tomorrow. The fact that we were kind of together that whole weekend really brought us all together as a team, but also just kind of goofing around and better friends.
And I think 2021 was also the year where you commentated on the Scenic City Invitational for the first time.
Yes,
What
sir.
did this mean? What did this mean to you both professionally and personally?
That might be it's hard to say the number one. I've been so lucky and put some hard work in for sure, but just being the right place, right time. That might be if it's not number one, it's up there. I mean, the SCI, the Scenic City Invitational, those three letters meant so much to me as a fan. I went to it a couple times as a fan. It's such a crazy energy. It's so much fun. It's exciting, and again, anything can happen. You don't know what kind of matchups you're going to get. The mystery of it until we get there, and it's just it meant so much to me. And I got to shout out Scott Hensley too for Scott's always been such a big supporter of me, it's just I still can't believe I get to call that. I still can't believe. I mean, up until this year, I would message Scott. We'd get closer. We'd have announcements. We've already got the field set kind of, and I'm going. So am I still doing commentary there? And Scott's yeah. What are you talking about? But that's what SCI means. So to do it the first time, I remember that moment of Dylan telling me, hey, you're going to be on SCI. Yes, yeah, save the dates. We're there. Sit in that chair and getting a call that man, it never gets old being a part of SCI. It's never going to get old. It always just feels so important, and to have my voice next to Dylan's on that, knowing what it means to the independent scene as a whole, let alone these people like, Scott and Matt and Dylan and everybody that means so much to me personally. It's a lot of weight on the shoulders, but in a good way, a lot of, that kind of pressure that really you're excited about. And I do, man, I think about that specific SCI a lot because I didn't know if I'd ever get there. I didn't know the idea of doing an SCI to me was like unobtainable. So to be able to do that and be a part, I just yeah, I'm getting just misty-eyed a little, thinking about what a big pat on the back, I guess, in a way that is for them to trust me that way. And like there's just it's hard to find a more fun weekend because of the matchups, because of the people. I mean, it's a true family reunion for a couple of days for SCI.
Another promotion where you already have been doing commentary work in 2021 as well is Next Generation Wrestling from Newport in Tennessee. What can you tell us about the promotion and the commentary you have done for them?
NGW is a very wild promotion. It's a little bit of Impact Wrestling. It's a little bit of kind of crazy big indie wrestling. That Pro Wrestling Guerrilla vibe I talked about earlier. It's ran in such a exciting way. They only run 3-4 shows a year. The promoters are very wary about running shows during the cold months here. They just don't want the people traveling and bad roads. So they get their shows in more so the warm months. And it is, man. We've had people, Matt Cross is a staple there. We've had Dango and Tyler Breeze. They were just the tag champs. We've had, Calvin Tangman, Mance Warner, Danhausen, Warhorse, like the names they bring in. I know Sue Young has been an important part at times, and she means so much to so many, as she should. So it's a weird environment in a good way. Of you don't like, you walk in that locker room and you're just going, these are all superstars. These people have been on TV, and as you mentioned, Newport is home, so it usually is this little armory in Newport, little Newport, Tennessee, about an hour from Knoxville. And you have, like I saw, that's where I saw Penta and Ray Phoenix the first time live. I got to see the Lucha, the Lucha Bros just right there in Newport. It was nuts. That had Ultimo Dragon a few years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's such a fun indie that, again, I think a lot of people, because they mix in local talent as well, which I like. You'll have some local faces that the crowd will really know as well, get some big opportunities, and have some big matches. And they get introduced, and like perfect example is Swerve Strickland, obviously right now huge superstar in professional wrestling. He came down. This is years ago when he was still at CZW, and the crowd didn't know him. I wanted to go meet him. I was such a fan. I still am. But I told him, I said, well, you talked for a minute before the show. And I said, hey, man, like, this crowd might not know you yet just because they don't watch indie wrestling per se. But don't like, they're gonna see you work. They're gonna see you put in that work. They're gonna see you put in a match, and you're going to be just hassled for merch. And he kind of gave me that side look for a second. And I go, and sure enough, he wrestled, I believe, Matt Cross that night. They went tore it down, and he could not get out of the ring. People were just, hey, can I get a picture? Where's your merch? So those moments are beautiful for me, for fans seeing someone new, a new wrestler they didn't know that they now love and are going to go home and look up and find matches, and that's what NGW brings to their audience too, is all these faces. I know right now I want to shout out the Lost Boys. Bradley Prescott the fourth and Adam Slade just won the tag titles, and that was something they started on that show. Like the first time, they didn't get music. They just kind of came out of the curtain and were kind of put in this position. Hey, you're going to go out there and wrestle a match now. And the crowd reacted right away. So again, to go from, you don't really have music, go out there, to now they were in a huge tag title main event on one of the biggest shows they put on every year, against the Fashion Police. And the crowd was living and dying. So yeah, NGW, I think, they haven't announced yet. We've got our next show coming up in a couple months. But it's something that anyone listening in the area at all, if you can get to NGW, you got to, just because there's nothing else like it in the South. It's like a super indie meeting a Southern indie all in one.
We move on to 2022, and there you were a part of a groundbreaking show, I think you can say, with Southeast First, which took place on January 21st of 2022. How important was this show in your opinion, and how do you feel about it, and also maybe its impact on wrestling in the Southeast, but also indie wrestling in general, looking back now, like 3 years later?
that whole day, the energy was different. You could feel it as soon as you got to the venue. Everything felt a little bigger. Everyone was a little more like cross your T's, dot your I's. And of course, with the AC Mac and Alex Shelley and it's a moment. I mean, the whole show was just loaded. I go back and look at the cards sometimes because it's bonkers how many just insane talents, just so many stalwarts of different promotions in the South coming together, no ego, which that doesn't happen a lot, right? There's so much little stuff in wrestling where people get their feelings hurt, but that for one night, it really felt like the Southeast. All these promotions came together, put on some really great matches, and it was punctuated by that victory by Mac. That to this day, I'll still be at shows, right? And people will mention, "Hey, AC Max South," and I couldn't agree more. I remember it was a moment that when it happened, I thought Tyrone, Georgia was going to explode. I just everybody in that building just reverberating. Where we sit for calm was shaking. Another moment that I got to rotate around and work with some people. I know me and Carmen hadn't worked together for a while because I had left New South at that point, and we got back together for a match, which was fun. Then we had, of course, me and Dylan. Dylan got to call. We rotated around again with just Southeast commentators, and I think that's so fun. We get so protective at times, and I know I do it too because, like TWE or an Action or KBK, wherever those shows mean something to me. So it's hard for me to trust, someone to, I'm going to be there. Like the only reason I missed TWE an Action last year was when I was out of the country over your way for a couple weeks. So I got to be really out of the way to not get there. And that show, I think it's such a home run looking back on it. Everybody just brought their best energy. And again, a match and a moment that, like you were saying, for Southeastern independent wrestling, it's going to be talked about probably forever. I mean, it's weird to say that, but that AC Mac win meant so much to so many people. And Mac is someone that means a lot to me because of his history with Brett Eisen at Action Wrestling, because of Rico. I'm really close friends with Rico, and because of that, now Mac, I've gotten close with, and it's a moment that I look back on even more now with so much pride and joy because of how my relationship with AC Mac has. We've always been cool, but that was it's such a beautiful moment and something that guy worked so hard for so long, and to have that moment in Tyrone at that building that AC Mac really built in a lot of ways, it would be again a top moment probably for me as a commentator to be sitting there with that headset on.
As you mentioned, TWE, how did you first got in contact with TWE? And do you have anything to say about the latest show that we had at the time of this recording, which is TWE Captive City?
Yes. So shout out Jaden Newman. I was ring announcing at a small Tennessee independent wrestling show. I had been there. It's the same one that I did commentary at too at times. Just kind of whatever was needed, I would do. And Jaden was there, wrestling, and he came up to me in the locker room. I didn't know him very well yet, but he just said, "Hey, would you be interested in doing ring announcing at TWE?" And I was, of course, TWE is a big promotion for me, especially at that time of Tennessee and the South. And yeah. And he goes, "Okay, cool." He doesn't say anything else, just walks away. All right. So I go, I don't know what that means, but he's interested, I guess. A few days go by and Jaden messaged me and, "Hey, could you be here on, gives me a couple dates." Absolutely. Like I'm there. So I ring announced to begin at TWE, which, as I already told y'all, I just feel like I know I'm a commentator. I did it though. I was very happy to anything. He could have said, "Hey, do you want to come sweep the ring?" And I would have done it. But they brought me in to ring announce, and TWE's like my home. I mean, that was before New South or Action used me for commentary. So TWE, when I genuinely mean my first wrestling home. I think this is year Gosh, I think this is year 6. That probably would have been like 2019 was the first time I ring announced for them. So we're talking 6 years this year. And It's an honor, man, to be the TWE, one of the TWE guys. I had to, scratch and claw to get in the booth there. They, let me, okay, we're going to let you. So for a long time, I ring announce, and then I would jump out of the ring and run over and start commentating right away, and sometimes ring the bell, whatever they need. That's by any means. But it's something that all these years later, I look back on Jaden giving me that opportunity. And yeah, our most recent show's crazy. We had Brett Eisen and Tim Bosby for that Action World title, which was just a knockdown, drag out fight. A lot building up to our April 12th. Is going to be that's one of our biggest shows of the year, Sink or Swim. So a lot of things at our most recent show, Captive City, really kind of getting us there. You've got Casey Owens like hiding underneath a table to attack Finesse. We had just Jade and Hunter Drake are really getting after each other. They're about to have a who's the best right now in the Southeast kind of vibe match in April as well. So a lot of things really hit in Captive City, and it's something with our production too. We're really trying to take that to a new level at TWE and be a little more better to look at times than just the ring. So we're really kind of building right now, and it's something that I think you can see in the product, and you can definitely feel it when you're there. But Captive City was a crazy show. I just keep thinking of the idea of Brett Eisen being picked up. I don't see that a lot. And I had to see that because of Tim Bosby and Dylan Hells, the AD, doing what they do. So yeah, if you're listening to this and haven't, please check that show out, because there's more I could say. I just don't want to give any. There's a couple of surprises there, but yeah, please go check out TWE in every way possible.
Speaking of shows that you should check out, and this is also my last question before Morbo will talk to you about what is next for you. Just 2 days ago, on the day of this recording, you did commentary on Jamesen Shook presents Hot to Go. How did you experience this show?
Did such a good job. His second show, his first one wasn't bad at all. It was a really good show as well, but he learned from show 1 to 2 as a promoter. Again, that promoter hat on, the things to worry about, the things not to worry about. And I know it was a long show. It's 10 matches. We had a couple death matches. The main event was a Gig City Championship match between Casey Owens and Matt Tremont. You had KOBK versus the Carnies. You had, MM3 was down, Thomas Oliver Vendetta. So all these names coming together, and it was 10 matches is a lot, as y'all know. Watching, just talking during it, 10 matches is always a lot, but that card was put together so well. Again, you put great talent in your locker room, things are going to come out well. And for as long as the show was, it was almost 4 hours, I believe, on the IWTV. Like you hit play, it's going to say like almost 4 hours. So maybe break it up, but he did. It's such a good, fun show. Everything you'd want in wrestling. We say the word variety a lot, but it really is. You had some technical wrestling and hardcore wrestling. You had some blood feuds. You had just fun stuff. Like there was a hootenanny hoedown between Big Dave and Finesse that was pretty memorable for a lot of reasons. So yeah, thanks for bringing up Jamesen, because I told him, I've probably told him a couple times since Friday that just could not be more proud of the kid. Great wrestler, great promoter, great person. Jamesen Shook, I can't wait to see what we're saying about him a year from right now, because it really could be anything he wants. That's a talent he has, and fun. Hot to go. Fun. Great commentator partners. I had, I think, 4 different partners rotating in that I got to work with. And some commentators hate, rotating casts. I think they can be a lot of fun. I think it's a different perspective that you at home, you get to hear someone's different voice. You get to hear what they're thinking, how they see stuff. So I don't mind, working with multiple people at a show. And I think it did. It came out very cool, very fun, very Jamesen Shook, very HOTTOGO.
On June the 1st, July 20th, and September the 14th of this year, the Outlaw Fight Nights Summer Series will take place in Indianapolis. That is presented by your promotion, Killer Be Kid, and the venue Duke's Indy. Can you explain this concept to us, and also what you can expect from these events?
So those shows, they're ring shows. They're not no ring. We do have a ring. they're very I mean, there's still KOBK shows. Like, we've ran at a bar in Nashville, no ring shows before. We've of course ran the TWE arena. But the Dukes vibe, it's very kind of Sunday afternoon, like Dazed and Confused. If you've seen that movie, just kind of we're getting together and sitting on the back of a truck and just kind of chilling was the vibe we had. But we're taking it to another level this year. Dukes they loved what we did. They want to, we're sponsored. We've never been sponsored ever at all of our shows, and Dukes is really taking care of us. 3 shows as you mentioned. First one's June 1st. It's going to be night shows. They wanted, a little later in the evening. We've got a band playing before us. They're going to do about a 30-minute set, I believe. And then we're going to take just a little break for everyone to get their drinks, get settled, and then into wrestling. You can expect just KOBK-ness. We've got I can probably tell y'all, so I'll do some match drops for you. We haven't announced any matches yet, but I can tell you we're gonna do, you can expect like a Brett Eisen versus Anakin Murphy. If you know those two, that's one of the matches we're gonna do. It's heavy striking, but we're also Nick Iggy is scheduled to be there with his zaniness and high IQ and just everything Iggy brings. You're gonna have Hardway Heater, who is he lived a chunk of his life in Indiana. So when Heater's in Indiana, B-Town, Bloomington, everyone comes out, shows out for the kid. Hoodfoot is someone that is always probably going to be on a KOBK show. He's KOBK adjacent, if you will. So Hoodfoot will be on this show. Actually, I'll tell y'all this breaking news is we're going to do Hoodfoot versus Jamesen Shook, since we're talking about him. It's going to be I mean, I hate saying fun, but if we're not having fun, then what are we doing, And that's what I want you to come to our shows. If you're showing up to Duke's Indy, I want you to get some good wrestling, to have some laughs. I know a good example of what you get is the last show we had there. We did Hardway Heater versus Hoodfoot, and it was a no DQ match. So there were times they were just hitting each other in the head with like vinyl records and beer cans, but also, Hoodfoot's doing the AJ, the big boom, just doing booms, booms, booms over and over with the crowd. And you've got a pizza kitchen right there. Jamesen ordered a pizza during his introduction last show. Like, there's no rules. There's no rules. We have fun. Again, live music, live wrestling. June 1st is our first one on a Sunday, and I can't wait for it to get here because of I don't even really know. I mean, I don't even really know what we're gonna get other than the matches. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of excitement we bring, I guess.
What are the plans beyond that event for the future of both KOBK as the promotion, but also the stable?
Really, just so the big goal for this year is I would love to run another show at TWE. They're very busy. Of course, ICW comes down a few times a year, and now the announcement Matt Tremont H2O is coming down to Red Bank in a little bit. They're going to take a little time off, but H2O will be based at Red Bank, Tennessee, at the TWE Arena. So there's a lot of wrestling in Red Bank right now. But I would love to get back to the TWE Arena for one more no ring show there. That's where it all started. Our very first show was called Sold Out. And I'd love to do that again. I would love to get back to that and have some surprises there, because that's something. If we could do that, I probably wouldn't even really announce a lot of matches for that card. I'd want it to kind of be a mystery vibe. That's probably another big question I get is when are KOBK coming back to Chattanooga, and hopefully this year. Hopefully, I would love to get it at the end of the year and be able to put that on. And as far as the stable, man, just keep grinding. That's what we are. We're out here to just show up, show out, and not bring anything bad to the locker room, to the show, to anything else, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just want to show up and be good for morale and put on bangers, man. I know Heater's doesn't have a ton of time left, just because he'll tell you that his body's beat up, a couple more years maybe, and then Sean Campbell, the goal for him is just to like be the superstar we all know he is. Like, the sky's the limit on that kid once someone sees him the right eyes, I guess, because he can do anything he wants. Big Dave, I don't know if anyone's having a hotter 2025 right now than Big Dave. Like, putting everything together. So I just think keep grinding, keep going. Hopefully get Luther X back. He's back. You know, he's got family and he's got a super big boy job, but we got plans to get Luther X back maybe in June 1st. So yeah, man, just keep having fun. Like keep enjoying each other. Keep keep bringing what we bring to shows and just enjoy each other. Again, like if we're not enjoying this, what's it all for? You know, that's really my goal shifted in the last couple of years from, I think I did like 90 something shows a year or two ago. And that included, I don't know how many states, like 15, 16 states, like GCW all the time, all that. It was crazy. It was fun. But now the goal, I just want to be on shows that I really feel love me, I love them, and give KOBK a chance to really kind of shine because I think, and no one's ever really been like those guys are the worst. You know what I mean? Like those they're not good. Why do they keep showing up? So just keep adding to the resume, keep getting better and keep getting to see each other. There's nothing like being in a locker room, with your best buds.
Yeah, as someone who has already done commentary work all over the Southeast, maybe what are your goals for the future as a commentator?
Yeah, that's what I'm struggling with right now. I don't really know. I mean, I would love to call some wrestling in Japan or the UK or Germany, anywhere over here. Like, I would love to do that, but so much of that is, the promotion. Normally, you don't really bring in like an American to come do. Why would you do that? So, that'd be cool for me, but it's nothing, I lose sleep over. My goal, honestly, is to just keep getting better, keep getting better, keep getting better as a commentator and learning as a promoter and just really, really pushing those brands that have invested in me, like a TWE, like an Action, like an NGW. That have really, let me grow and let me live my dream because that's the truth of it. When I was a kid, I just wanted to be like John Madden. I wanted to be an like American football commentator, and I loved wrestling. Don't get me wrong, but there was just I would sit and play like Madden and do my own commentary. So I'm getting to live my dream right now. So just keep that going. That's a goal. Just keep being able to do this and keep trying to help the young guns, right? I love when someone comes to me and asks, "Hey, what did you see from a commentary? What can I work on?" And I try to tell them, this is what you're doing great at. Here's one or two things to think about, and then you see them listen and grow. Like, just be able to help people. That's what it's about. We're in this together. I want you to be the best you can be, so I can be the best me I can be. So really, that's the goal. Keep having fun. Keep getting better.
Okay, John, that's it. We're at the end of the interview. And as always, stage is yours. You can plug and promote anything you want.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for having me. I don't get to do podcasts a ton and interviews like this and all. So thank you so much for letting me come talk with you. Thank you for asking all the questions. I went down memory lane and this was way cooler than I figured it'd be fun, but just really cool to go down this trip with you guys. Please, the KOBK Summer Fight Series, June 1st is our first show. We're back in July and September. TWE, Action Wrestling, KOBK Wrestling, all on IWTV. If you've got high spots, please check out NGW. Please follow me at most KOBK on social media if you feel like it, at KOBK Fed for all KOBK promotion news. And just, again, shout out you guys, shout out the boys, KOBK forever.
And as always, also a big thank you from me to you, Morbo, also to you, Florian, but especially to you, Mos. We are big fans of your work, and we were very happy to have you on the podcast. And with that, we also want to thank our listeners, and I hope you will listen to us in the future again. Goodbye.